Lee Van Cleef, the man who rode through pain. In 1959, Lee Van Cleef was driving along a California road when his car skidded and slammed into a tree. The crash shattered his left kneecap, tore tendons, and left him in excruciating pain. Doctors warned he might never walk normally again, let alone mount a horse, a skill essential to his growing career in westerns. At the time, Van Cleef was still known more for his sharp-eyed supporting roles than for leading parts, and Hollywood wasn't about to wait for him to heal. The timing couldn't have been worse. Van Cleef had begun gaining traction in the early 1950s with small but memorable roles in films like High Noon, 1952, and Gunfight at the OK Corral, 1957. His piercing gaze and angular features made him perfect for the tough, menacing characters that defined the genre. But after the crash, studio doors started to close. Casting agents saw him as a liability. "There were days I thought it was over," Van Cleef later admitted. "They told me I'd never ride again, that if I tried, my leg would collapse for good." Surgery left his knee fused and immobile. He wore a steel brace from mid-thigh to ankle, hidden under his pants in every appearance that followed. Each step was painful. Riding was worse. But Van Cleef didn't quit. He took odd jobs, painting, carpentry, just to stay afloat while continuing to audition. His once fluid movements became more deliberate, almost rigid. Ironically, that stillness, paired with his cold, calculating eyes, only deepened his screen presence. His second chance came in the mid-1960s, when Italian director Sergio Leone was casting for a few dollars more. 1965. Leone had seen Van Cleef in older films and was struck by his face. "Like carved stone," he said. Van Cleef landed the role of Colonel Douglas Mortimer, reigniting his career overnight. A year later, he starred in The Good, The Bad and the Ugly, 1966, and became a spaghetti western icon.
What does he pay you for murdering me?
$500 to get the name. The name.
What audiences never saw was the pain behind every stride, every mounted horse, every turn on dusty ground. He never sought sympathy, never dramatized his suffering. Asked in 1970 how he managed such physically demanding roles, he simply said, "You do what you have to. The pain's there. But the job's bigger than that." That mindset defined both his performances and his persona. Hardened, stoic, unwavering. Throughout the late 60s and 70s, Van Cleef leaned into this weathered strength in films like The Big Gun Down, 1966, Death Rides a Horse, 1967, and Sabata, 1969. Off-screen, he never once used his injury as an excuse. Actor Tomas Milian recalled, "He'd be limping, wincing after takes, but between action and cut, he looked invincible." On December 16, 1989, Lee Van Cleef died of a heart attack at his home in Oxnard, California. He was 64. His ashes were scattered at sea. The steel brace he wore for 3 decades now rests in a private memorabilia collection. Unseen by the public, but fiercely preserved. He turned a shattered knee into part of his legend. He never let pain define him, only refine him.